The rain was already ruining the cardboard boxes when I pulled into the driveway. My entire life was packed into black trash bags, scattered across the wet lawn like roadkill. In the center of the mess stood my mother, Cynthia, holding her phone up like a weapon, live streaming to her prayer circle about how she was finally safe from her violent daughter. My brother, Tyler, laughed and booted a bag containing my workstation into a puddle. I did not scream. I did not beg. I checked my phone screen, confirmed the direct deposit of $45,000 into my secret account, shifted my car into reverse, and drove away in silence. Drop a comment and let me know where you are listening from and what time it is for you right now. I would love to know who is part of our community. I checked into a cheap motel on the outskirts of town, the kind of place where the carpet smells like decades of bad decisions. I did not unpack. I did not cry into a pillow. I sat at the wobbly desk, opened my waterproof laptop case, and pulled up the live stream replay. There it was. My mother, Cynthia, framed perfectly in the center, weeping to her followers about how she had finally removed the threat from her home. The comments were scrolling too fast to read. A blur of prayer hands and angry faces calling for my head. I watched my brother, Tyler, kick the bag again. I watched my sister, Brittany, smirk as she filmed it. And then I saw it. The thing I had missed in the rain. They were not just laughing because they were mean. They were laughing because they were comfortable. For 28 years, Cynthia had trained them to look at me and see a utility, not a person. I was the appliance that paid the bills, the machine that fixed the problems. When an appliance stops working, you do not feel bad for it. You kick it. You throw it out. You replace it. That laughter was the sound of people who had completely normalized the act of consuming another human being. They honestly believed they were the victims because the ATM had stopped dispensing cash. I closed the video window and opened a secure folder labeled Audit. My family thought I was a failed graphic designer or a struggling secretary. They never asked, so I never corrected them. The truth is, I specialize in forensic accounting for high-risk litigation. I find money that people work very hard to hide. I trace assets for clients who want to remain anonymous. Cynthia thought she had kicked out a helpless daughter. She had actually just declared war on a professional auditor who already had her passwords. I pulled up the deed to the house. The memory hit me then, sharp and sudden. 2 days ago, the kitchen reeked of burnt coffee and entitlement. Cynthia had cornered me by the refrigerator, her voice rising to that pitch that used to make me shrink. "Brittany deserves the Vera Wang," she had screamed. "You just got that bonus. Hand it over. It is for the family. It is my paycheck," I had said, my voice shaking then in a way it never would again. "I have rent to pay. I have a life. You have a life because I allow it," she had roared, slamming her hand on the counter. "You owe us everything. If you do not pay for that dress, you can get out." They broke me in that kitchen. They made me feel small and selfish for wanting to keep the money I had bled to earn. But sitting in that motel room, bathed in the blue light of my monitor, I was not the girl in the kitchen anymore. I looked at the document on my screen. It was a digital copy of the deed to the house on Maple Street. The house Cynthia claimed was hers. The house she said she struggled to keep over our heads. There, in black and white, was the transfer my grandfather had executed 3 weeks before he died. He bad not trusted Cynthia. He knew she would bleed the estate dry, so he had bypassed her. Owner 1, Cynthia Miller, 50% interest. Owner 2, Megan Miller, 50% interest. I was not a parasite living in her basement. I was the landlord, and she had just illegally evicted the co-owner of the property. I did not feel sad. I felt the cold, familiar click of numbers falling into place. They wanted to talk about debt? Fine. Let us talk about the $45,000 of rental income from the guest house that I was legally entitled to half of. Let us talk about the loans taken out against the equity that required my signatures that looked remarkably like Tyler's handwriting. I picked up my phone. No tears. No long paragraphs explaining my feelings. I dialed the sheriff's non-emergency line. It was time to file a report, not for a family dispute, but for grand larceny and fraud. I went ghost. No texts. No calls. No screaming matches on the lawn. For a family that feeds on drama like oxygen. My silence was suffocating. I sat in that motel room and watched their panic evolve in real time on my phone screen. I did not block them. You do not block the opposition when they are voluntarily handing you ammunition. You let them talk. You let them dig. Brittany struck first. Of course she did. She posted a 3-part series on TikTok titled, "The Truth About My Sister." She sat on her bed, perfect lighting, tears glistening in her eyes, tears I knew she could summon on command like a parlor trick. "I did not want to bring this to the internet," she whispered to her camera, wiping away a fake tear. "But my sister, she stole my wedding fund. She took the money our mom saved for my dress and ran off to a hotel. I do not know how someone can be so heartless. The comments flooded in. Strangers calling me a monster. People offering to start a GoFundMe for her dress. I did not get angry. I hit the save video button. That was Exhibit A for the defamation suit. Then came Tyler. He did not care about public sympathy. He wanted dominance. My voicemail filled up with his voice, thick with aggression and cheap beer. "You think you are smart, Megan?" he growled in one message. "You think hiding in some motel makes you safe? You sign those papers. You sign over your rights to the house, or I swear to God, I will find you and I will make you sign them." Exhibit B. A direct threat of violence. Saved. Backed up. Cynthia went for the nuclear option. She posted a long, rambling status on Facebook, tagging every aunt, uncle, and church member we knew. It was a masterpiece of fiction. "Please pray for my daughter Megan," she wrote. "We had to ask her to leave, because her addiction has made her violent. We tried to get her help, but the drugs have changed her. We are heartbroken, but we have to protect the family." She was painting the narrative. If I tried to fight back, I would just look like the crazy addict lashing out. It was smart. Evil, but smart. But they made one mistake. They got greedy. It happened at 11:43 at night. My laptop was open, the blue light illuminating the cheap motel art on the walls. My phone pinged. A single, crisp notification from my bank. Security alert. Unauthorized access attempt detected. Device: Tyler's iPhone 14. Location: 24 Maple Street. I stared at the screen. They were not just trying to ruin my reputation anymore. They were trying to break into my accounts to steal back the money I had legally earned. They were trying to commit wire fraud. That was the green light. Up until that moment, I was just a daughter protecting herself. I was playing defense. But looking at that notification, something inside me shifted from survival to execution. They had crossed the line from toxic family to criminal syndicates. I did not feel fear. I felt the cold, sharp clarity of a hunter who just watched the prey step into the trap. "Okay," I said to the empty room. "You want to play games? Let us play." I opened a new window on my laptop. I did not need to guess passwords or hack into their systems. I already had access. I had the shared family cloud account. Cynthia insisted we all use years ago for memories. I had never logged out. I clicked on the folder marked Financials, and I began the audit that would end them. I stopped being Megan, the overlooked daughter. I became Megan, the auditor. I did not need to request documents. I did not need to wait for subpoenas. I had the passwords Cynthia had forced me to set up for her 3 years ago because she was not good with computers. She had never changed them. I logged into the bank portal. There it was. The digital trail of my family's sins laid out in neat, incriminating rows. I did not get angry. I got busy. I downloaded the statements for the last 48 months. I highlighted every deposit labeled guest house rent. $1,200 a month. Every single month. Deposited directly into an account marked Cynthia Personal. I pulled up the property tax records. They were public information, but Cynthia had clearly hoped I would never look. Loan modification agreement. Date April 12, 2021. Borrowers: Cynthia Miller and Megan Miller. I stared at the signature. It was not even a good forgery. It was Tyler's blocky, aggressive scrawl trying to look like my cursive. They had taken out a $50,000 home equity line of credit against the house I half-owned. Where did the money go? I traced the transfers. Transfer to Tyler Miller. AutoNation. $42,000. My stomach turned, not from shock, but from the sheer audacity. They stole my equity to buy Tyler that lifted truck he loved to rev in the driveway at 2 in the morning. They committed bank fraud to fund his ego. I printed everything. The rent theft. The forged loan. The unauthorized access attempt from Tyler's phone. I was not going to sue them for the money. Suing takes years. Suing gives them a chance to cry to a judge about being a poor widow and a struggling son. No, I was going to use the one weapon they could not manipulate with tears. I picked up my phone and dialed the county sheriff's civil division. "I need to schedule an eviction," I said, my voice steady. "Not for a tenant. For an unauthorized occupant. And I need to report significant financial fraud related to the property." "Ma'am, usually that is a civil matter," the deputy said, sounding bored. "I have proof of forged signatures on federal loan documents," I replied. "And theft over $10,000. That is a felony. I would like an officer to meet me at the property, to serve the notice, and take a report." The tone on the other end changed instantly. "We can have a deputy meet you there tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon." "Perfect," I said. "Tomorrow at 2. I checked the family calendar, another shared digital tool Cynthia insisted on. Tuesday, 2 p.m. ladies' Bible study and tea. Of course. Cynthia was hosting her entire social circle. She was probably planning to serve scones and tell them all about how her drug addict daughter had attacked her. I smiled. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of a chess player who just saw the checkmate 3 moves ahead. They wanted a show? They wanted to perform for an audience? Fine. I would give them the performance of a lifetime. My phone rang at 8 in the morning. It was not a blocked number. It was a local area code I did not recognize. I answered, expecting the sheriff's office confirming our appointment. Miss Miller? The voice was dry, professional, and sounded expensive. This is Robert Vance. I represent your mother, Cynthia Miller. My heart stuttered. A lawyer. They had actually hired a lawyer. I do not have anything to say to you, I said, my hand tightening on the phone. You might want to listen, Vance said, his tone bored. Your mother has provided me with a document dated 5 years ago. A quitclaim deed, signed by you, transferring your 50% interest in the Maple Street property back to her. We will be filing it with the county clerk this morning to correct the record. I suggest you cancel your little visit with the sheriff unless you want to be arrested for filing a false report. The room spun. A quitclaim deed? I never signed that, I said. But my voice sounded thin even to me. It is notarized, Miss Miller. Dated 3 weeks after your grandfather's funeral. Grief makes people do generous things. I am emailing you a copy now. The line went dead. For 10 seconds, I could not breathe. The doubt crashed over me like a wave. Did I? 5 years ago. I was 23, and drowning in grief. I was a zombie walking through funeral arrangements and wake buffets. Cynthia had shoved papers in front of me, constantly insurance forms, burial permits, probate documents. Had she slipped one in? Had I signed away my birthright because I was too busy crying to read the fine print? If that document was real, I was not a landlord. I was a trespasser. I was exactly what they said I was. A crazy daughter trying to steal their home. The plan, the sheriff, the eviction, it all dissolved. I felt sick. I felt like the small, stupid girl in the basement again. My email dinged. Subject: executed deed. I opened the attachment. My hand was shaking so bad I had to use 2 hands to steady the mouse. I zoomed in on the signature line. Megan Miller. At first, the signature looked like mine, the same slanted letters, the same looped M, but I couldn't remember signing it. Then I saw the G in Megan. I looped mine to the left. This one curved hard to the right, sharp and aggressive. I knew that tail. I'd seen it on angry notes, detention slips, threats. It was Tyler's handwriting. The panic vanished, replaced by ice-cold rage. They hadn't just lied or bullied me, they had forged my signature on a government document and tried to convince me I'd surrendered my inheritance. This wasn't a family dispute anymore. It was a felony. And suddenly, I remembered my grandfather in hospice, gripping my wrist. I'm leaving you the house so you can stop them, he whispered. Your mother eats people. Don't let her eat you. The steak he left me wasn't a gift. It was a weapon. I forwarded the evidence to the sheriff. Subject: forgery and uttering a false instrument. They thought the quitclaim deed protected them. It didn't. 2 squad cars arrived quietly. I walked to the house with my folder will, real deed, forensic report, and unlocked the door with my key. Inside, Cynthia was hosting her church friends, performing martyrdom mid-sentence. Tyler lounged against the wall. Brittany scrolled on her phone. Cynthia pointed at me, hissing. She's high. I stepped aside. The deputies entered. They weren't there for me. Tyler was arrested for forgery, grand larceny, and bank fraud. Cynthia collapsed as her story died in front of her audience. The church ladies edged away, teacups trembling. You have 10 minutes to vacate, the deputy said. Tyler lunged at me. He never reached me. Handcuffs snapped shut. Outside, as I tried to leave, Brittany blocked my car, went live, and threw herself onto my hood screaming that I'd hit her. I stayed seated. I pointed at my dash cam. It's recording in 4K and uploading right now, I said. You're committing insurance fraud and filing a false police report. Want to add that to Tyler's charges? She froze. The stream ended. She fled. The aftermath was swift. No trial. The house sold. Cynthia lost her standing. Tyler took a plea deal. Brittany lost her platform. Now I stand alone in my new apartment, mine. Paid for. Quiet. I delete the family group chat without ceremony. No anger. No grief. Just relief. I'm not a daughter. Not a sister. Not a victim. I'm Megan. And that is enough.